Ladies and gentlemen, a man who needs no introduction at all. I'd like to welcome here on Articulate with Steve McJones, Evan Patterson. This time,
for real, what are we starting out with?
We are starting out with, how's your night tonight, Evan?
How's my night? Honestly, we
were pretty steady.
It was...
For a Sunday.
So many times, especially since COVID has happened, I've walked in. Best one, I think, was homecoming weekend, because it was my midterm week. Mm-hmm. And I was up till 4 or 5 writing these papers for one class. I was on a 25-page paper. And I finally got it in, and it was due that Friday night. And I wrote most of it, woke up in the morning, wrote the rest, got it turned in by 1 o'clock. And then got into work. I was like, okay, I got through all my exams all week, got it, yada yada, so on and so forth. Got into the tavern, and you're like, ready for homecoming? And I was just like,
dang.
Fuck.
Yeah, so it's similar tonight. You walk in, and I'm like, oh, the server called off. So
you're alone.
you're alone.
It is you. And I was like, nice. And you're like, so I was like, so no one goes out to the patio? You're like, absolutely, for sure. First group comes in. So what's outside? Outside? I was like,
yeah, no, you said that, and then I look at the reservation, and it says patio, specifically. I'm like, oh, right, of course, yeah. And it's not cold. It wouldn't be cold anymore. Why would it be cold?
No. Okay.
But yeah,
it was you, me, and Chef, and Kate, who is a godsend of human being.
Seriously,
she's just so wonderful.
And she's so patient at standing at the host stand, just doing nothing.
Oh my god!
I could not do that for the amount that she does.
It's fascinating.
She's great. She's amazing.
Honestly, just with this transition with COVID especially, I mean, I'm just sitting in front of a computer screen all day. It's great, especially having ADHD off the charts and just going into a major that's very hands-on, very, patient person, individual focused.
Could you remind us of your major?
Pardon me. Yeah. Nursing. I forget.
No, it's all good.
Talking to people that don't know me. Sometimes. And of course, that's again, very hands-on, clinical based. And then now everything's virtual. And so, again, very used to being very hands-on all the time. And I don't know how to put this right. But point being is that, again, bartending, nursing, everything's very... I know where I'm good. And that's with people.
Right.
And then that's kind of my way of getting out, way of no longer... work is a great way of me just being able to dedicate all that, extra... anxiety, need to do something sitting in front of a computer all day, and just having somebody that's on a completely different wavelength, just chill, hanging out, on their, not on their phone, but just chilling, laid back. I'm just I
accepting
can't do that.
The reality.
Just explode onto something.
Right. Yeah.
I need to get at it.
But what you're saying about something that you're good at and doing it with that hands-on type thing is something that kind of Drew put into perspective a little bit. Drew's our chef at the inn. And he's just a lot of times within newer jobs, you feel that stress and you feel that anxiety. But after a certain amount of years or a certain amount of time, comfortability, you get confident in the things you're good at. You can just come in and do your job and be good at it,
Isn't that just so good for your head? Is just to be able to do something that you're good at.
Right.
I mean, just feel confident in yourself, feel good about yourself, get in that groove, it's again, even when it's when I feel it's weird to say, but sometimes when something is stressful, but you know that you can get through it because you've done it 100 times, it's just so good for you just to go through it and get that overcome adversity, but you know that you can do it.
Right.
It has that. It's just very reassuring.
Yeah, and then it adds on to your confidence for later.
Absolutely.
In any other sense.
Walking in today, you're good luck. You got this big guy.
And I knew I was going to be there to help you.
Oh no, I was. I'm saying it's I wasn't worried about it at all because I know we'd done that.
We've been through way worse.
You and I had done that 100 times.
Way worse. Way worse. So I remember coming back to the inn after summer and then starting to bartend and being overwhelmed because everybody else was gone. I was the only bartender, and then just being oh yeah, I'm pretty good at this. And it was almost getting into that flow of just you ever just feel you're just circling around the bar? Not circling around the bar, but spinning around behind the bar.
Oh, absolutely.
You're just spinning, I don't know what it is, but it just feels you're spinning. And that's oh yeah.
Oh, just getting to do your thing. Oh, I got
just
this.
Getting, yeah,
I
just
know
getting
what this is
into it.
I know
sure.
what it's about. It's so cool because last night my parents came in, and both of them, I think combined, they probably have 50 years of bartending, not bartending specifically, but restaurant experience, most of it, a lot of it being behind the bar. And it's just really cool to, again, be able to show off what I'm good at, being able to be in that groove. And it's just like cool just like to be able to show what I'm about and like show where I'm at.
Yeah.
And it's just, my mom was just really, I don't know if we should talk about other people that are at the tavern. I won't. But it was a very, very busy night and we were not well equipped by the time that I came in.
Right.
And it was really cool just to kind of...
She could see what was going on.
But like somebody that has that experience, right? As you talked about, it's like getting that confidence, getting that group, but also just like getting that knowledge about the ins and outs of how that system works.
Right.
The people that have been in the restaurant industry for so long, they can just sit in a corner and know everything that's going on in the whole restaurant.
Yeah.
Just by like watching like one person work. It's really cool actually to be with somebody like that. Just like see how...
Well, and especially if it's your parents too, you know, and they kind of...
raised me in that. Yeah.
Right. A little bit.
Came out the womb.
But like I've never...
86 isn't behind on the lines.
Yeah, but I've never like... I don't think I've ever served my parents, and if I have, it was when I was first starting out, like at the ice cream parlor when I was like 17. You know,
absolutely.
They've never come up to the inn, and I've never been able to wear like now that I wear a suit. You know, they don't see me like as that man. You know, they haven't seen me in that light yet.
Yeah,
which is interesting to see how that's going to play out. But I feel like for you, you know, like you said, it just feels good to just be like, yeah, you know, I'm a good bartender.
This is my thing now.
Yeah,
this is something that I love. This is something that's a part of me. It's just such a. I honestly like, as we'd been talking about before we started the podcast, like looking back. And this one I'm going to call my redemption round because honestly, just like thinking about the vindication,
right?
This one goes to 11. I just like thinking back to where I was. We've filmed the first podcast or the second. I mean, just where I'm at mentally, where I'm at in life, within the tavern, within school, within relationships, within everything. It's just fascinating to see where I'm at compared to where I was back then.
My
and it's
dude,
just,
it feels like it's been years.
It's fascinating, especially like Lord, the last one we filmed was you had that Stephen A. quote. This is a bad day. It's a very bad day. And it was just right when COVID hit, and it's just like that. I think was a big catalyst for a lot of people to make a change. And just looking back on it, I just am very proud of where I'm at now, and it's just a wonderful feeling to see that difference. And I feel like a lot of times people like, you know, kind of stick up their nose and they're just like, oh, you know, I'm so much more mature than I was then. But it's just like, it's the fact that how far we plummeted after, like mentally, like into depression and anxiety and like just seeing where the world was going and like, just again, like I just feel like I plummeted so far that there's no way, and not to say that there's no way I'll never get sad again or whatever, but like not in the same way, you know. And just like as we were talking about before, facing that adversity, developing those coping mechanisms, I mean, that's all that experience is, right? I mean, on my psychology class, we talked about that experience isn't what happens to you, it's what you do with it, right? And so being able to move past that, getting that confidence in life, as we're talking about with work.
Microcosm. It's a microcosm example.
And it's just, especially with COVID, I mean, as we're talking about with, just that security as you were talking about before with the lizard brain or whatever, or like even related to, I guess, Maslow's hierarchy or whatever you want to say, having that foundation, having that security, and being able to have that freedom of being able to have a perspective of having that secure foundation and then being able to start thinking about yourself and start being able to improve on where you are and who you are as a person, and having that.
I feel like that big event of COVID and the protests and everything really shook that foundation. And that's why, and that's what was scary to us, was being like, okay, are we going to have to start to focus on the basic needs again? Are we going to have to like worry about getting food and water and all these things? And so, definitely progressing beyond that. Again, like, it just feels so much better now. And we were at a point, remember, when we both started at the end of August, where we were like, oh yeah, we're back. We're better than ever. I don't know if you remember. We were like, we're in a good mental state right now. And then the months following were just some of the
just a monsoon.
Yeah, just a monsoon. Yeah, and so that's why, we're feeling good right now. But like we were just talking about, like earlier before you came over, I was just like, I feel like I'm in such a, like, I just feel weird. I'm just weirdly happy. I don't know.
Is this what this is?
Yeah,
is this what they're talking about? The joy?
Yeah.
Is this the happiness?
Right.
You're also talking about how you thought it was going to be a good year and how I'm cautiously optimistic and and maybe even a little bit pessimistic about how it just feels it's scary, honestly, how quickly it's turned around for me. And I feel very, very, very fortunate. I mean, so many things have absolutely just landed in my lap, and as much as my girlfriend hates it when I bring it up, but a lot of it has to do with having that foundation, that backbone, that support to be able to start to look at yourself and try to improve yourself, and being able to have that security about, that everything's safe, everything, and it's something that like really needs that control, and then being able to finally, for the first time in my life, feel secure about myself, about where I'm at.
Right.
And being able to start to, look at myself for the growth for the future. And something that we were going to talk about was our old boss and good friend, Ashley, just made the decision, of course, to travel.
She was on the podcast. Yeah.
And Ashley's Cookies.
Yeah. And she talked about it. This was right before she left.
Unbelievably inspirational to me. And
the fact that she went to go travel the country, she's starting in Maine.
Made that decision to live her life now is the biggest thing to me. And especially as young as I am, is like, I want to do the same thing. I want to see something new. I want to experience something new. I want to grow. I want to be a new person. And we talked about this before, is just like wanting to live multiple lives in this life. Wanting to see different parts of the world. Wanting to be different people, not different people, but to
explore different parts of your identity
and who you are, absolutely, and just wanting to know more about what I am. And especially, I think that's what the pandemic's definitely done for me. Is it's pushed me to be able to realize more of myself, and I
turned our sights introspective, basically.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And again, I think that I was very, very lucky in being able to have a lot of that. I keep on saying security too much, but having that, be able to finally be realized for the first time in my life, and being able to also have that time
to do
myself, and and just like to focus on myself and be proud of where I'm at, is just a really cool experience. So we were talking about, it's just so scary how sudden it's changed.
Yeah,
like when is it gonna fall? Where's the monsoons coming over the horizon? We're just getting ready for it.
Definitely. But I mean, just a real quick thing. Being present is something that I've kind of learned to focus on within this time of introspection, and kind of, that's what meditation helps me a lot with, and like, feeling your senses, looking around, and kind of like sniffing, smelling, hearing, grounding yourself. And so, and that's what you're supposed to do in the bad state, when you're sad or depressed or whatever, to make you kind of get out of your mind about things a little bit. But you should also do it in the present, so that way, when you're happy as well.
Enjoy it as well.
Yeah, so that way you can enjoy it, and you don't compare it to the bad. And comparing things is never healthy, I think, in my opinion.
I love the way you put that.
Yeah.
Just being present in all of your life, I think, is so important. I think it also goes back to what we were talking about with trying to experience as much of your life as possible. I think that you have to be living in the present to be able to appreciate that present stance. And that's in doing that, you are more affected by your surroundings. So like you said, you become different people. You fulfill different parts of your identity because you are fully living where you are. So if you're changing where you are, or you're going through different routines or different just ideals in your mind, or learning different things, you do just kind of go down different paths in your brain and fully explore your identity, which I really love. And that's one of my favorite things. Personal development is a very strong interest of mine. Being able to appreciate yourself, being able to appreciate those different aspects of yourself, especially as you grow, especially as you age, especially as you change. And I think that being able to put yourself in that environment for success is a really difficult hurdle, because it's so scary. I mean, I think that, you say, for example, our last podcast, I think that one of the biggest reasons why I won't go back and re-listen to it is I fixated on Nevada the whole time. I was not in a good place mentally. And so I had that profound experience that completely changed my life. And that's what I had. And I held on to it the whole time when I was going through all those rough things, is just because it was like those extremes were everything that I wanted. And it was just like, you know, that kind of like taste of the forbidden fruit almost.
Yeah.
And like I couldn't allow myself, while I felt so stuck, to be able to think about anything else, because it was that's just what I had to hold on to. It was like that promise of the future. And now that I'm finally again feel more free than I ever have before, it's tough to think back on how much I really just fixated on that and really just never allowed myself to move past it.
And fixation can be healthy to a point, I believe. I know that again it's stunting in a way, but also, like you said, it did help you get through a period of your life, right?
Absolutely did help.
You know, and I can fully agree with that. But I think the idea of being more open to different ideas and being open to even the idea of despair, or, you know, whatever, like accepting the troubles to come is part of becoming a more at peace person. Whether that means happier or successful or whatever to you.
I absolutely hear what you're saying, but what I was mostly just like getting at is that fear of putting yourself out there of like where you can be successful. I mean, that's why I think a lot of people procrastinate. That's why a lot of people allow themselves to have that, I think it's called the handicapping effect, like where you will allow things to get in your way so that you can say, it's like, oh, well, I gotta be in that class because of this, that, and the other thing, because you weren't going to allow yourself to give it your all, because then if you still failed, then you had nothing left but to blame yourself. Right. I think that was the biggest thing that I really had, that was something I really had to focus on recently, was really trying to give all of myself to as many aspects of my life as I possibly could. And again,
it's so tiring.
It is exhausting. And it might just be, that might have been a little unhealthy in a couple of places. I might have kind of given a little bit too much. But again, that's just growth. That's just figuring out, finding that balance and getting older and getting that experience.
Living different lives.
Living different lives, bro.
I was listening to this Duncan Trussell. He's a podcaster, and he has this show called Midnight Gospel on Netflix. That guy. But yeah, he's crazy, and this is going to go kind of on a tangent. But he talks about, you know, he went on this DMT trip where he had this experience where, you know, it was at what's the thing in the desert where they Burning Man, where they burn men, you know,
where they burn the men.
But it was this experience where he was just talking about how he realized, like, he started believing in reincarnation, but not in the typical way. He believes it in this way where, you know, reincarnation involves coming back to, at any point, like when you die, you come back to where you want to come back to in your life. And like, because there are multiple different parts of your life, right? So you can come back to, like, you know, high school and just relive that if you wanted to, and be reborn in that way and live in that sense, or come back to who you were when you're 20s, or like you were talking about, like you have all these different lives, the periods in your life.
I don't want to misquote it, but I definitely think that I've heard of religions that are based around that, where they have focal points. It's kind of similar to deja vu, like where it's like you feel like you've been there before, but it's like those points, those extreme memories, like where you are absolutely think that, you know, this is like a point in your life that's like like a turning point almost.
Yeah.
It's like those. I think there are religions out there that think that it's like that's one of the ones you come back to. Well,
and it plays into the multiple reality theory as well, like where you come back, and since you have been reincarnated into this point in your life, you can make a better decision if you wanted to. And what his kind of theory about it is like life is more, instead of circular, it's more of a spiral, and you can choose to keep, you know, you get this gravitational pull of making bad decisions, of saying you have these arguments in your head, and then you can choose to say something that you know is kind of mean to somebody, but it makes you feel like, again, it makes you fall into this gravitational pull, or you can choose to make a better decision with this point in your life, and it pulls you out into the next level of the spiral a little bit, and kind of it makes you feel better, and like you have less gravitational weight towards whatever the bad thing was or something like that. So you know,
kind of like that like time fishbone scale thing, like where it's like there's like a main line, but there's lots of different tangents.
Right, and some of those tangents are better. You know what I mean?
You go back to that point and make the better decision. Try it again.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So, right. So living this one life that we are experiencing currently, you know, it's trying to make those better decisions, not falling into that gravitational pull, living the best reality that you exist in, you know, that your reincarnation wants to choose to live in, you know.
I think that's what all these philosophies are kind of like getting around to, and just like a different way. And I think that I really like that philosophy, but for me, I think a lot of it is just that I'm not positive that there is an act two. And I'm not sure about it, so I think that's why I want to live as much of this as I possibly can, experience as much as I possibly can, because I want to experience that diversity of life while I can experience it. And while everybody has a different way of looking at it, I think that everybody just wants to feel that was that little crazy feeling that is this the happiness, is this the joy?
Yeah, this weird thing we call happy. Yeah,
I think that's of course what everybody's seeking.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And again, that's where the grounding comes in handy, so I don't overthink the spiral of life or the multiple realities that there are.
Just kind of the joy in this moment. And, you know, coming into work and being like, you got this. You're ready.
Yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, I'm glad to be in this moment where
you can go and hang out with a friend and go and, you know, chat with them and record
a podcast,
and you know, go back to
and not age because there's no stress, right?
No. Oh, okay. So hold on.
Let me smack this spliff here. I like how you brought your own Sherlock Holmes pipe to hit your own tobacco out of your own little.
You are too kind.
Yeah.
This is I do call it my dear Watson.
Dear Watson.
You want to hit taste the Scotland Yard?
The Scotland Yard.
So what you're talking about is a point that you wanted to talk about, which is a really cool concept. So basically, a lot of the way that physiologically or theoretically aging supposedly works is based on these little caps on your chromosomes that are called telomeres. And they
say that a little bit louder. Telomeres. Okay.
And they shorten every time that they replicate, right? So there's basically a cap, if you will. Because they are caps.
No cap, bro.
No cap, bro. Never had one.
No cap, there's caps.
Right, there's caps, bro. Caps on caps on caps. Anyway. So they shorten as you age, is the theory. So there's lots of different theories. There's another theory based around lactic acid in your muscles that builds up over time, and that causes your muscle to deteriorate. But like, why?
Like when you lactate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about your memories.
Yeah,
you know, you have bad memories. God, we're too bad at this. So the idea is that as you age, they shorten until and that's why we physiologically age as a species. Mm-hmm. The thing is that's really interesting about that is cancer cells have something called telomerase, which inhibits that shortening of the telomeres. So that's why cancer cells can replicate infinitely without having any signs and symptoms of aging. Also, what you're referring to is stress shortens your telomeres. Right. So directly, stress
ages you.
And
you see that with President Obama.
That's exactly what we're talking. I was just about to go with. That's one of my favorite things about like his was the White House Correspondents' Dinner when he shows like pictures of him next to Michelle. It was like him in 2008 next to Michelle, and like him in like 2012 next to Michelle. And then he said like him in 2016 next to Michelle, and it was like her next to a skeleton. That's what goes on. Yeah. But yeah, and I think that's really important for, as you're talking about with grounding, with everything else, with mental health. Taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself is a really tough thing, I think, for a lot of people to do as we as a society value that selfless effort and cherish people who can put others before themselves. I think a lot of times the catch-22 of that is that you can give too much, you can try to be too much for other people, and it really can drag yourself
you
down.
back. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's something that I think you have to work on your whole life, right? Mm-hmm. And so to bring kind of another aspect into it, the like ex-booze, current booze type thing, you know, the booze.
The boo-boos.
I think, well, stress is the boo-boo, right?
Definitely.
But I think, you know, you really have to figure out how much, you know, you have to continue to work on that balance so that way you don't put it on somebody else within a relationship, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And so, like, for me, I think I have two extremes in the direction of relationships, right? Mm-hmm. I personally have seen my older brother get very committed into a relationship and then get very hurt later, you know, because he gives everything. He gives his all. He gives all the love. And that's not a bad way to live, you know. He gets this extreme of love.
Never relate to that.
Luckily, yeah. And so, personally, for me, I see that happen and how hurt he gets a lot of the time. And see, okay, I don't want to commit to anything. You know, I don't want to put my all into whatever, right? But then on the other extreme, the world is ending, right? The world is ending. So it's like I want to love to an extreme because it's like, you know, what's the point of loving if things are going to end? You know, it's like I don't want to.
The end of the mind calendar is like, baby, it ends tomorrow.
Yeah, baby, it's over, bro. Yeah. So, you know, I think within learning, like you said, learning that balance of how much you need to give versus how much, like, because I just want to give it all to the person I love, but I have to realize that they have their own life. They have their own Maslow's pyramid hierarchy or whatever it is. Maslow's,
You killed it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. No, I actually have been referencing that a lot since you talked about self-actualization and kind of giving me the basis.
As we're talking about, like, having that freedom to have that perspective now is something that's so new to me, and is something that is...
And maybe that's why we feel happy, because it feels new.
Wonderful. And because I think that for the longest time I didn't think I would... Not that I wouldn't get here, but maybe I don't know. So with talking about your brother, I think that's like another important thing when you're thinking about relationships is what we were talking about is taking that step, having that confidence to take that giant leap of faith and risk, because that's what relationships are.
Oh, every time.
To give yourself and be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And that defensive mechanisms to shut everything down, hold everything back, protect yourself after you're hurt is a very, very common and understandable response.
And it's what makes us human in a way, and it's what a lot of people can relate on.
Absolutely. I think that was something that shocked me, and where I am now is that I was not looking really for a new relationship with where I'm at now, and just so much of what I was looking for just kind of popped up right in front of me, and it was kind of a little bit startling. Again, as we were talking about with this crazy transition, crazy change and everything, it was just, it's all very scary with it when everything starts kind of clicking into the right place.
Yeah. Because you don't know how long it's going to last.
Exactly. And it's like when it's what you want, it's what you're wanting to be, and we're talking about with self-actualization or just like self-improvement, being able to focus on yourself and be proud of who you are and be proud of where you're at and be able to fully be yourself unabashedly and love every second of it is just an experience that is so wonderful, and I hope that everybody gets to experience it, because I, again, was like talking about like graduating from college, moving on, doing all these new things, and having just that capability to have that perspective is just a massive weight off my shoulders. Because again, I was like, I knew I needed to get to this point.
Right.
I knew I needed to get to the place like where I could grow to be able to be a professional, to be able to be a nurse, to be able to be, hopefully one day, fingers fucking crossed, a psychiatric practitioner, to be able to help people do what I think I need to be able to, the person I need to be able to be fulfilled.
Right.
And to get myself to that place, and I needed to have this foundation financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, to be able to get to that place, to be able to grow and be the person I know I need to be. is, again, it's freeing to be able to... It's the same thing as like when you have that massive project over your shoulders, right, in school, and you have a whole bunch of little assignments before you can get to that big project. Mm-hmm. Then you finally get done with all that little bullshit assignments, and you finally get to work on a big project. It's just so relieving just to be able to get to it.
Right.
And I just think
that's like the last... So like you and I are both in the last parts of our college career, and that's what it is. That, you know,
I'm not meaning to say like I am to that point of trying to be able to fulfill myself, but just like being on the journey and being able to recognize that I think that I am on that
the right path.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it is very relieving.
Right.
That's the way I would put it.
Right. And you know, for me, it was personally really hard to recognize that, like you were saying, because, you know, I never wanted to go to college. I really didn't. I wanted to drop. No, yeah, not at all.
OU's ugly.
Well, OU's the opposite of ugly, but, you know, just in general, the institution, the schooling, the system of debt, you know, that whole thing.
Oh, man.
That whole thing, yeah. Just was not a fan of it, personally. But now I'm getting to the point where, again, I felt like college was not a decision that I made. I feel like it was made for me. Mm-hmm. I'm getting to a point where in my life I'm making decisions and I'm making the decisions. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like whatever happens, yes, there's going to be ups and downs, but it's going to be due to my own choices, the things that I've decided to do. And so I think that in a way adds to that fulfillment, because you're finally playing into your identity more, you know, like you're finally fulfilling a little bit of more, you know, like we said, we were talking about paths that you fulfill your identity on, lives that you choose that you want to live, as opposed to lives you were kind of handed.
Absolutely. So do you feel like that's like, I mean, I'm just curious what you think about it. Do you think that that's exhilarating, exciting, scary?
Well, you know, it's weird. Like I said, right? It's weird right now.
It's weird.
It's weird, yeah, because it feels right now. Before, again, I haven't lived any of the consequences of making my own decisions yet, because I feel like I'm in the process of making my own decisions to lead to life decisions. So I'm in the process of making these decisions, which is great. This is the part that feels good. It's like, yeah, I get to make these decisions. But, you know, reaping those seeds that you sow is going to be completely different.
Time to reap, time to sow, time to heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, you know, I'm going to make one of these decisions, and if I choose to, you know, there's always going to be problems that occur. If I choose the hospitality route, I'm going to be like, dude, why did I do this? I could have had an easy 9-to-5 job or whatever. That would have been way less stress.
Make a jump, make a change, make a leap, do an Ashley. Like, fucking move to Maine. Make the... I mean, so... I don't know. I just think while we're young, it's so important, and we owe it to our future selves. So you talk about that point, possibly those focal points that you want to come back to. Mm-hmm. Right now, I know for a fact that I want to move. I want to get out. I want to still be with my partner, but I want to, you know, bundle him up, take him with me in a suitcase, and move out west. Like, just see something new. Like, experience the world. Yeah. Experience what I can be, what I can do, and where I can go. And I know that if I don't do that, I will regret it. And I think that's, I think it's like being able to not just like see the focal point for it being there, but seeing how, if you were to go back in time, you know, and your example, if you were to go back to this place now, what the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I think that I know that no matter how many times I go forward, no matter how many times I would go back, I know that the choice that I would make is to make that jump.
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it. I'm ready for something.
Yeah.
I'm ready to make that change, man.
Something new, dude. I am so excited. And
I'm so excited for you.
And honestly, this is coming at it from a worse perspective. Like, I like the idea of coming at something new and exploring different options, but the idea of leaving this behind as well, just like all the experiences, ups and mostly downs, you know what I mean? Leaving that behind within Ohio, it just seems just so, like, it'll be such a release.
Especially Athens for me, I think. It's. I know we have very different feelings about Athens right now. Mm-hmm. but Athens for me is a very, very comfortable bubble. I think that I was very aware of that, especially when it came time for this most recent election. My ideology, my way of looking at the world, my approach to life was shared by almost everybody around me. And I think that that's one thing that I was like, I don't know if I can grow in that environment. If like everybody's just still stuck in that mental spot of change, growth, development, but it's like stuck in Athens. Like, it's not, I don't know, I don't think it's conducive to growth where I'm wanting it.
Yeah. Well, and so a lot of something I actually mentioned in one of my older podcasts called "Deal with It." If you're interested, deal with it is it's the real. I feel like we had the realization here of change and growth is a good thing. That's where we're in Athens. We decided to learn and do things and grow and continue on with our lives. But then again, part of that realization is realizing you gotta keep doing that. You know, you gotta keep like putting effort into that.
He did a terrible job of describing what I was meaning, but like I think it's like college is such a really, really cool, unique place in life where everybody's in that same mindset, like where everybody is just like ready to explore themselves, ready to explore the world, ready to explore their ideology, their everything, question everything, and I think that's really, really cool about education, especially about college. But I think that there is, as you said, it's always a journey throughout all of life. And I think that is a very, like the seedlings of, that change that you need to make is that mentality, that ideology of that's like what you're in college. And I think that a college town especially kind of fosters that, but also makes you reside
Stunts it,
so I think that while I have absolutely appreciated the individual that I am becoming, and I think that a lot of it has to do with where I'm at in my circumstance, and again, who I'm surrounding myself with. You as well. It's the gypsy in me, man. I'm itching to get out of here. I'm itching to see something new.
I feel it. I 100% feel it.
So talk to me. So I had said that I was wanting to go out west, go be a pioneer, go back out on a ranch, go back and go be crazy.
Yeah. And that stems probably from Nevada.
Oh, it absolutely does. And I think I've talked enough about Nevada on the last podcast.
Right. If you don't know about Nevada, you don't. Those who know.
Those who know definitely know. Making a fool out of myself in some pickup trucks and planes. Actually, that's really funny. So something I didn't tell Haley about was the plane story, and I'm sure I probably talked about that on the last podcast.
Possibly.
Flying that concept experimental plane over the Ruby Mountains.
And seeing all those amazing sights.
My friend is having an absolute heart attack behind me. I bully him into going on there. Very wisely. By the way, I hope to God somehow my mom never hears about this, because she was like, no plane. I was like, absolutely not, no plane.
Yeah, no plane.
Literally,
never.
First thing I did. I'm
going on the plane.
I just go on the plane. I flew it. I didn't tell Haley about it. Like very purposefully.
Right.
And then she was like, how did I never hear about this one? I was like, probably because I should have told you that I was on this like Rinka whatever plane. And
Rinky dinky plane.
I was just like, I can play this. it's gonna be fine. I got this one.
Yeah. But what was the reason that you brought that up?
No clue. No
idea. Going out west.
We're talking about moving. I was curious about what you're thinking about. You're talking about New York. You're talking about different internships. You're talking about
and so it's really hard for me because to figure out what the next steps are.
I'm gonna say sorry to put you on the spot.
No, and that's all right because like to talk about it out loud helps to figure things out, right?
Process.
So the ultimate goal for me is to still, like, I have this, it's that feeling, that same feeling of that itch to get out of Ohio, type in and explore who you are. It's that itch, but it's that itch geared towards exploring the entertainment industry. I don't know why, but I really feel pulled. I just feel something pulling me towards exploring my, my value.
Yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, myself. Exactly. But myself in, like, the fact that I value comedy so highly, and the fact that I find truth in comedy, and the fact that I think I could be good at it. You know what I mean? All of those things make me want to follow this goal of pursuing a career within the entertainment industry. And and that doesn't have to entail stardom. I'm not seeking stardom. It'd be nice. I'm not gonna lie, but to again, it's more about the truth that having a platform where you can express yourself, and that's why Dave Chappelle is he is my favorite comedian, because he not only uses his platform to make people laugh, but he uses his platform to change, to grow, and to show people who he is as a genuine individual, and to express ideology that he finds truthful.
In a different perspective, which is what I think is so vital to comedy, is it not only humanizes and makes things humorous, but it really takes a serious look, while on the extreme and at the boundary, but it takes a look at humanity and what we all have to offer. And I think that taking a look at, or having that desire to want to explore yourself through art, through any form of self-expression, is incredibly, it's very commendable. I think that's really, really cool. And any person that wants to explore themselves, and I think that I have, like, take my roommate for example. His Mick Holloway. He is like explores a lot of himself in music, and I mean, I have a lot of friends who either did comedy, improv, are artists. I think that it's just always so cool to have an outlet to explore yourself, but to again explore that vulnerability of yourself and who you are, and try to be able to move forward with that crux of an outlet to be able to view it. And that's just really, really cool, I think, for everybody.
And where the conflict occurs is within monetizing that exploration of creativity, which is a little bit more difficult than just exploring it. And that's the hard part. That's that's me getting to that goal. That obstacle of monetization comes in, and being able to support myself financially throughout that exploration. So my goal personally is to have a full-time job that isn't based in comedy, so that way I can be supported in doing that.
Yeah, I think like a big thing is that how you value yours, or how you view, your success. And what you were talking about before was being happy and being fulfilled and being able to express yourself. And I think those are all really awesome objectives and goals towards your future. And as you said, you're not looking for fame. You're not looking for anything else towards it. It's just that purity, that truth, that honesty. And again, it's incredibly commendable. I think it's really, really neat to want to explore those parts of yourself, explore those parts of humanity, explore those parts of your experience in life. And just like it reflects what you value. And I think that's what I always really appreciate about you and other people is that what you're looking for in your life, I think, shows a lot about your character and what you want.
Right. And I mean, it's the same way for you, exploring nursing and getting your doctorate and going west. Going west adds that potential factor of how influential you want to be within your major of nursing, which again is very commendable, because you want to spread as much hope and positivity and beneficial medicine and whatnot towards the entire world.
I think it goes into that whole idea of, is there altruism? Is there what's the word I'm looking for? Doing something purely for somebody else. I can't think of the word for it. But does that really exist? I mean, the thing is for me is that I know that I have to help people. I know that I need to make a difference. I know that I need to be everything for somebody. I need to.
It's these objectives.
I need to get my
objective
hands in the mud.
truths.
I need to get my hands in the blood. I need to get my hands in everything, and I need to.
In the blood.
In the blood, bruh.
Blood, yeah.
I gotta experience things, and I think that I've always been that person that appreciates extremes. I do think that life is experience and acceleration, not speed. I think that you have to experience life and appreciate those focal points, as we were talking about before. And I don't know. I'm ready for it, man. I think that I am just.
Dude, I just get really excited when people talk about the end of the college career. I just feel like, and again, yeah, it's not just the end of the college career, right? It's this excitement for this life that comes after. And again, it's you making your decision, your choice to go and do these things, because now you have the freedom. You're not tied down to this institution that, again, has helped you in letting you make your decisions. However, starting that actual, I just get really excited about that.
And I think that we all kind of get tied up in, wanting to be the best you that you can be. And I think that everybody kind of gets mixed up in the minutia of it. It's like, I should have worked out this morning, or I shouldn't have, done this other thing, or, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I think it's really important to have that guiding light, that
as long as you know it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, and you're just going towards what matters most to you.
That's what I don't worry when I miss a workout. It's like, I'm always going to come back to it. You know what I mean? Like, at some point there's going to be a period where I work out again continuously.
Yeah, but I think that's just an example I was using. But like, just again, being the best you that you can possibly be, and
as long as you don't lose sight of that.
Yeah, and just being fulfilled. I think that what is really, really cool, and something I really, really appreciate about my partner Haley is that she works for the EPA. Mm-hmm. Of course, you don't think that you get into a place like that and get a big girl job, and especially in that field, without being incredibly passionate about what you do. And I don't mean to speak for her, but I think that she's also in a place like where it's like she got to that end of the rainbow. When she was a kid, she was like, I want to work for the EPA. I want to do this. I want to help the environment. I want to make a difference. And now she's like still kind of in that spot where it's like, is this my end point? Mm-hmm. And she's like, I want to do more. And I think that that's just really, really cool. It's not a just physical place. It's not just a happenstance in life that everybody's going towards. It's not, unless it's possibly being an NFL quarterback, but it's like even once you get there, it's like, okay, now there's another goal. I think that having those ideologies of being fulfilled and having that self-actualization, that's what I was about to, and just getting towards being you is really, really cool, and something I really appreciate about a lot of the people around me, and are just a great role model for where I need to be. And it's really cool having that example. Mm-hmm. And like my family and my sisters and all these people around me. It's like again ready for it, but ready for what really matters. Not just being a nurse, not just going to grad school, not just all these other things, but it's like what really
internally matters.
Yeah, exactly. Intrinsically being able to appreciate, have that self-reflection, and being able to be, I need to grow here. I need to do this. I need to,
And I would strive again. No, and I've personally, Patrick lived here for a year, and he was that example, that close example for me.
Cool guy.
Yeah, to like have a direction, to have a drive, to have a motivation, to fulfill your identity and fulfill your idea of success or whatever. So I understand completely having that person close to you, like you said, like having your partner Haley, her being kind of that beacon of light for you. And not that she's a beacon, but in a way, yes. But I think when you and I right now, we're in a place of contentment and happiness, and I think it's in times like this, that's when you should be that light for somebody else. You know what I mean? You should strive to be that light for somebody else.
That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I've really fixated on that for a long time, and trying to learn to also put myself in the picture as well, and being selfish was something that I worked on.
Being selfish is hard sometimes.
Yeah, and it's something that I needed to learn about and be able to get better at, and that's definitely been a learning experience for me. And I think that again, as I it keeps coming back to, actually Haley hates that I said this. So I had a really cool experience recently for Halloween. I got to go see my sisters, which was wonderful because I hadn't seen them in forever. Mm-hmm. My sisters are very, very close. And they just were talking about how different I just seemed, just like being happy. And just like having very serious conversations with them related to personal matters. But of course, like I pointed over to Haley, and she got very much like, don't you dare put all your growth on me. But I think that having that support, having somebody that wants you to be everything that you can be for you, is just so
extremely
important.
beneficial.
It's so important to have, and I think that I'm just in that place like where it's terrifying. Where it's just like I am definitely in a place where I didn't expect to be,
right?
Especially now, especially after COVID, especially everything that's been happening, and being able to take a look back at where I have been and where I'm at now, it's really scary, but it's
nice. It's nice.
Exhilarating. It's freeing. I'm just so happy. I'm so happy.
I know. I keep saying this phrase to myself, and it's a scary phrase. It's a really scary phrase, but I told you before when you first came in, but I'm the happiest I've been since...
Absolutely.
Since 4 years, like since my senior year of high school.
I was talking with my roommate about that. Like I never have lived with a friend before. That's my first, one of my first couple roommates in college. We became friends, but like it wasn't like he wasn't one of my close friends. Living with a close friend and having a partner like that, and having a job where I get to feel fulfilled, feel like I'm good at what I'm doing, feel like I'm in a groove, feel like I'm, beasting it out. Starting to feel like I'm in the right major, I'm in the right place, I'm making the right decisions for myself. It's just, everything just kind of feels like it's...
synchronicity.
Yeah, coming together, bro.
Yeah.
And it's just a wonderful feeling, against what we talked about. It's like feeling like you're in the right place.
Right.
And setting yourself up for success is, again, a big leap of faith in being vulnerable with yourself, but it's nothing like I felt before.
Yeah, but damn, does it feel good?
Damn, does it feel good. I think a big thing is, like, I gotta think about it, like a year ago, I lost my job as an RA because I was an idiot. I was like frantically searching for a roommate, finding a new place, finding a new job, finding and like my dad was diagnosed with cancer at the same time, and like everything just felt like it was just like pouring on. And then just like going from that to this is just staggering. It was just like where I was like, felt like, like I was just like kind of in a very tunnel vision stuck mode of just getting through every day.
Right.
Like getting through class, getting through school.
Oh, yeah.
Those conversations. And then now it's like I have the freedom to pursue myself, and it's a really cool experience.
It's freeing.
And again, I think I've brought Ashley up enough. But being surrounded by all these really, really, really exemplary just people, brilliant, really neat people, and being able to
inspiring
learn from them.
people.
Yeah, and it's like being able to take from what they've learned and they know, and also just like things that like I learned in the past that just didn't make sense yet, hadn't
clicked.
Sunk in.
Yeah.
And now like even like conversations I've had with my dad in the past. Sorry, I got hiccups. Having like conversations I've had with my dad in the past, and just like being able to appreciate all these different perspectives so much more now in the place that I am as an adult. And I finally feel like, I got my feet underneath me. I'm finally drinking almond milk.
Drinking almond milk. That's funny. No, I agree. I think like there are a lot of conversations that I've had with my dad that I don't take into account when we're having the conversation, and then something will happen later, and I'm like, damn, he told me about that, or it just like echoes in my head a little bit later, and things like that.
I think one of the ones that happened to me was actually from my grandma, and I think it was also she passed away this last year, and it was something that was like kind of really stuck with me. Is that you can value a relationship after you go through 3 life life-changing experiences with that person, whether that's a partner, a friend, whatever. But the thing is that you absolutely change as an individual once you go through a life-changing experience. Obviously, that's why it's called that.
Right.
But she was her thing was like, you can't propose to a woman until you go through life-changing experiences. But I also feel like it's the same thing with friends. I feel like it's the same thing with everybody, especially after COVID has happened now, or like getting ready for graduation, or again, it kind of goes back to that tunnel vision I had at the time. Friends that were with me through that, friends that I still have had my back along the way. I have two friends. Their name was Will and Maddie. They're a couple, and they've literally had my back and been with me every step of the way. And I think that you finally get to realize who your real friends are, who the people that you actually need to appreciate and learn something from when you go through experiences like that. And I think that I'm finally in the place where now, like, what she said really has started to sink in, because I feel like I've changed so much in this last, whatever it was, 5 months.
8 months.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
sure, yeah.
It's been 8 months. That's insanity.
I know.
But now being able to take a look back and like how much I've changed, how different I am, and all the people that are still have my back and are like, this was the you that you always have been. You just haven't, allowed yourself to be it.
Right.
And knowing that some people know you better than you know yourself. And just like being able to appreciate that and take a step back and,
some people that even aren't your real close friends will just be like, will say, like, our Michael Smith, he'll just be like, yeah, I can tell you've been stressed out, because usually you're just this, like, happy-go-lucky guy and just making jokes all the time. I'm like, oh, really? That's what I'm usually like? Because I just feel like I'm not like that at all. Yeah. Yeah.
I am a good actor.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about this?
Yeah. But yeah, no, man, it's, and that's the thing, I'm talking about, we're in this good place, being a beacon of light for other people. It's great that we get to have this on recording, because I know for whenever I fall down again,
when the monsoon comes,
when the monsoon comes, that I will be able to breathe a breath of relief, listening to this episode again and realizing that there are parts that are good and that are powerful enough to get me through those tough times.
And grounding yourself in the moment and appreciating from where you're at. Because I think that at any stage in my life, even in those times that I look back on now and think that, I was stuck or whatever else, there was absolutely so many aspects of my life that even some things, again, there's positives and negatives in everything, and there's things to learn from, there's things to grow with, and there's things to appreciate, especially in retrospect. That I think that if I were to go back into those moments, there's things that I would absolutely be able to appreciate. But I think that especially now, looking back on it, that in the future I will be able to hopefully count my blessings and know what matters most to me, especially in the changes that I've experienced.
Right.
That what. Again, people that matter, and aspects of my life that really have made an impact and difference for me. That I think that I'll be able to value and keep as a part of my life for the future.
Yes.
Good talk.
Yes. I love it.
Good day.
No,
it's a very good day.
It's a very good day. It just gets me so hyped. That's all I'm saying. So I think that's probably a good part to
call it a wrap.
Call it a wrap. Yeah. No, and we could go for hours and hours.
We
and hours.
always could.
Yeah. But I appreciate having you on here and having an intelligent conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wasn't that nice? Wasn't that just so fulfilling and dandy, and just makes me ready to get at the world. That was a great conversation. I was really glad I had it, and really glad I have it to be able to share with you all as well. So yeah, and it's kind of interesting that I feel like that feeling has already passed. So but like re-listening to it and editing it was like such a it brought me back into the moment, and I'm glad. I know I'll get to that place again. I'm not like far off from where I was, but things come and go. So at least I know it's an achievable place now. But appreciate you listening, and hope you enjoyed it as much as I do. And yeah, have a good one. Thanks for listening. I love you, amen. Okay, bye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.